Well, hello. Today, I'm very happy to welcome Kristoffer Andersson from Valu8 Group for the T360D podcast. We've been working a lot together over the last few years, Kristoffer, Valu8 together with Pemacom on various occasions. And it's great to have you here and hear your insights really into what is driving you as a database provider and about this story. So Kristoffer, it's great to have you here. You're the sales representative of Valu8 in the DACH region. And it's great to hear from you. Who and what is Valu8?
Well, thank you, Nick. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on this platform. You have been a super resource for us to have in the German market. We really like Pemacom. We have attended it. It was a great experience last year. Both the serious part of it, but also the later stages. But it was fantastic. So thank you so much. Valu8 in core, in essence, we're a company focused on private company data in Europe. We have a database containing roughly 60 million companies. 33 of them are million are active, and we try to pair up working with really qualitative sources and iterated data sets with the latest technologies available in the market. You have the ChatGPT-4, and you have also our own developed algorithm to enhance that data. To create a situation for our users in our platform to do searches that are very accurate with as little noise as possible. And in our world, noise usually means company that shouldn't be in the list. So that's what we do. And we've done it for a decade now. We founded in 2011, market leader in the Nordics, where we work with most of the players in our client groups, and expanded out to Germany and DACH region and the UK region. UK roughly 5 years ago, and Germany like 2 years ago. But it really took off, and we really have a stealth focus on Germany now since we opened up our office there in September last year.
That's really great. First of all, it's of course super interesting that that approach comes from the Nordics, I think, right? It's always interesting to see, that over the last decades, private equity was far more mature even in the Nordics as compared to Germany, at least, right? And obviously, it ties into that, I believe, a bit. So I have the impression that the transactional sphere in terms of private equity always has been more developed, and your service seems to tie into that. What were the beginnings in Sweden, really, with what was the trigger point, the need actually for the service? Were there precedents before? Other services, other databases before? Where was the market opportunity which you saw?
Yeah. So, I came into the company 4 years ago. So I've been only told the stories. Anders Lundgren, who's the CEO and also the founder, together with Peter Berg, who founded Macrobond before joining or starting up this together with Anders, and Jonas Wenberg also is our COO, who did a fantastic job sales-wise in the Nordics. But just the name Valu8, it's a little bit confusing, but it's a brand now, and it's become household, at least in the Nordics, and we're starting to get somewhere in the DACH region also and UK. But it comes from Valu8 being a valuation tool, so that's where it started. So we built a valuation tool where you can run DCFs and so on in a very sophisticated way. And then we went out to different corporate finance firms and so on and pitched that. But they said some liked it, but most of them would much rather have a good database for screening companies and really having fast and easy access to private company data. So it was feedback from the market basically that developed the product in the direction and where we are today. And that shifted quite early. I mean, I think the valuation part of Valu8 was the primary focus for maybe 2 to 3 years. But after that, everything went down to building this full coverage database where we can guarantee our users that we track 100% of all the companies in each country that we cover.
Well, that's interesting. So basically, you took, if you like, and a step back in terms of the vertical, call it market, right? I mean, you would have expected, right? So users have the basic data and then need the evaluation tool, and it sounds as if you realize the market first needs the underlying data really to then move on to valuation.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And Anders, he also came from so Anders who founded the company together with Peter Berg. He came from the investment banking side. He was also former at Volvo as head of their corporate finance and had worked in that space his entire career. And then Peter Berg, who is the other founder, he came from the data side. So he also had experience of building this type of aggregated data platform. But they focused on macro data, whereas we focus more on the micro. But those two together, I mean, having the data experience of aggregating data and also Anders having his network and his competence in that area also, led to many meetings with people within the PE industry, and it was in these meetings for a period of time where everything was built in real time in the platform that each early clients had access to. So yeah, it's funny to think back how it developed, because I was not part of it, but I can really see how and I heard the stories also how it came out organically from just having discussions, right. Seeing what works, what does not work, and just also realizing that nobody else really does this in the Nordics when it comes to private companies. For the large cap and the larger listed companies, for that matter, also you have the capital IQ, you have the fact set, you have these huge databases and suppliers and companies that have been working for that for a long period of time, but they are focusing on a really large transaction, and the volume is in the mid size and the smaller. In the smaller transactions where these Stockholm-based investors wanted to invest in. So when we started to developing the platform in that way, it was then when it really took off. And after that, it's been a 35 to 40% growth per year, which we're super thankful for.
Impressive. And then a few years ago, you decided to move to Germany also. And that's exactly as you say, that's the time when I met Anders. And, since then we had great cooperations, partnerships on PEMACOM, on our private equity M&A community conference, on the PEMA BOC, the private equity M&A bootcamp, and other occasions, right? So, that's great to see. And I was able to, see the process develop. What was the driver to come to Germany? I mean, obviously expansion is always great, but was it very similar in terms of what you found here in Germany as compared to the Nordics? Was it different? Was it more complicated? Was there already, more competition, i.e., more alternative services around here already as opposed to the Nordics? And what drove you, given all these circumstances, then to enter the market?
So there are some like softer reasons, and there are some more pinned down reasons for entering the DACH market. And I would say the softer reasons would actually be having quite good established partnerships, relationships with people, with yourself, and also Stefan Schneider has been someone we worked a lot with, and Jan Perschman, who is also one of those who has helped us out a lot. But just getting into the room quickly, basically, having access to these networking events and dialogues and so on. From even before we got our first couple of clients, we were still in there and talking and discussing and so on. So that was just relationships wise. We had a relationship to the market. And then, but then the other thing is, from our perspective, when we have done the numbers, DACH is the biggest market for us in terms of potential users. So that ties together with, there's a lot of M&A advisors in Germany. A developing PE scene, which from what I've understood had a little bit of a bad rep for historically, but now that has changed a lot, and it just developed into this great opportunity for both the market, but for also us. And then the third thing is actually comparing it specifically to UK, where we've struggled a little bit in the beginning, but now it's going fine. But there was not that much competition when it comes to the specific solution that we're offering. So we are competing on the same budget with many other players, Merger Market, FactSet, Capital IQ. You have North Data. You have also GainPro, PitchBook, Crunchbase. There's a lot of different tech solutions out there. But when it comes to having access to a database where you can actually track all companies on the market, and also be reassured that you have all the financials that the company has disclosed and reported, you have ownership information on them, you have a greater level of details on these companies. When it comes to that, and on a European scale, there's only 2 players on the European market that does that. And the other player has been doing it for a very long time, and they have very, very good data. But I believe myself that we have much better. We have the same level of details in the data, but we have much better tech behind the scenes and also in the platform. So the user experience and also what you're able to do as a user is more efficient in our solution. That in combination with a quite attractive prices compared to the other or in par, it took off quite quickly. And when we got our first clients, it's a big market, but everybody knows each other. So then it's a snowball effect after that.
And that's great. Coming maybe really to the, starting really with the users, right? Obviously you need the users, you need the clients. Tell me what is, and you mentioned it a bit obviously, but sort of what does the field of your users look like, right? Which groups are out there which are interested, which do use the product, or which might not yet use it, who should use it though, right? And so what is also the motivation to use it from their side?
So that's the beautiful thing of Valu8. I myself believe it's used from the intern up to the managing partner, and the use cases is of course different. If we look at the analysts and also the associates and definitely the interns, it's all about much crunching the data, doing different types of exercises of finding companies that fits the scope, extracting data out to Excel and do their magic there, and really just digging into the data side of things. But as we move up in that hierarchy, it's more of how can I access the relevant information on this company as quickly as possible. So you're heading into a meeting, you want to know the exact ownership structure of that company, who is the majority owner, and so on, and how who's in the board, and what's the latest financials, and the performance of the company from a financial point of view, in a very quick and digestive, like easy digestive way. Then it's more used in a sense like that. And then it depends, of course, how big is the client. I mean, in a smaller M&A advice boutique or corporate finance boutique, that's everybody does everything. So you have the whole side of screening and doing the research and due diligence, but also just looking up companies quickly. But we understood quickly. And this is maybe a secret not to give away, but we understood quickly that if we can make the system as intuitive as possible, so the decision makers are happy to use the platform also, and it's easy for them to navigate it, and it's not just a very complicated database that the ones who are working within the research and the data teams are using, then it will be much easier for us also to have a long-term relationship with the different clients.
And so that's a bit about the seniority within the clients, right? So from the sort of the analysts up to then really to the, I don't know, partners, MDs, whatever industry you might be in. And in terms of groups of clients, I mean, you mentioned the M&A advisors, right? I mean, that seems to be key because they screen the market for, opportunities for targets on basis of mandates or get in there proactively. We mentioned private equity as the next draw, if you like, obviously, for similar reasons. Who else is out there who, for whom this is an adequate use case? Yeah.
I mean, private equity has always been a key client group for us. I think in the Nordic, I think we have 90% of the players using Valu8 today. So that is, we understand private equity. We know what's out there in terms of different databases that they might use, and we know what value we can offer them. And so we're always going after the private equity firms to help them out. If they become more efficient in these areas that we operate in. But other than that, it's the M&A advisors, the corporate finance firms, and usually the ones who are working within the transactions then. The big four auditing firms, they are all also. We work with those also again, much related to the transactions and the M&A of that. Investment banks, same thing there. But then an interesting client group that has grown for us the past 2 years at least, both in the Nordics but also outside of Nordics, is strategy consultancy firms and management consultancy firms. And they have in some cases they have a similar need, but in our cases it's more of using our service and our platform to do really detailed analysis of different markets and the industries and how they have been performing, and drawing conclusions from that to help their clients out. Since it's a platform that covers the whole market and all the data that's available on that market, in theory, you could go into our platform and push out an entire industry with all the companies and all the financials for the past 10 years to really understand it in detail. So that's an interesting client group that has come out now this past 2 years also.
Interesting. And what about does it also play a role for, banks in terms of, you mentioned investment banks, but also for lending banks, for instance, is that a use case? What about, strategic players, M&A departments? Are there other areas out there, and are they tapped in already? Is it something which you see coming?
It's in that specific area, it differs very much in the Nordics from outside, at least so far. So in the Nordics, we actually have the corporate M&A department as clients directly. So they are very much often in charge of the process, where they do very data-driven decision making on the targets that should be in the pipeline or the target list, the long lists, and not outsourcing those early parts of the M&A process. When I joined Valu8's 4 years ago, then the main client I sold to was corporate M&A. We got such an increase in corporate M&A there, and we saw also a shift or a trend of companies, large companies, large listed companies that hired directly from either from PE, or they hired from one of these larger. I mean, could also be a bank in their corporate finance team, and hiring in that resource where they've done the junior part in that, and then taking in that competence and working, being used and having access to these databases, and then just taking that in to the company to improve the strategy. But that has been a little bit more difficult, I should say, in DACH. I'm so far. I feel and have experience of not trusting the databases as much as the trust has been, and it has not matured in that way in the corporate M&A department when it comes to usage of. We have clients that are standard corporates, but not as many as we do in other countries.
Because is that due to the fact that they do not tend to? I mean, is it a question of sophistication of this group, or is it a question of awareness of your service because they simply use other services, at a high degree, and they don't know about your product? Or is it, what is your?
I mean, I think it's a combination of not being accustomed to these databases being so efficient and easy to work with that you could actually do some of the work yourself instead of paying someone else to do it. And that takes time to. That's like real sales work or just having meetings with them, showing the platform, showing how other companies have set it up in terms of the structure and so on, and to give some good pointers there. But it's also, I think we try to be also very aware of, M&A advisors' role and how they play in Germany, and that differs a little bit also, I would say. I think we definitely will get there. I think we see the same trend, but it's just going a little bit slower than or comes later than it did in the Nordics. But in terms of bank, yeah, we work with all the major banks, at least in the Nordics, and those are also key client group for us. In some cases, it's about wealth management, since which is an interesting area also, since we have ownership details, and we also have the financials of the company, but also the year of birth and so on. So you could also easily find potential prospects for wealth management and do some qualified guessing that these companies might come out to for an exit, or there might be a succession or something like that's happening also, which could be interesting for a lot of different players to know about. So that's definitely something that can be done and is done also, but needs more work on our side also to map everything in.
Sure, great. What about private banking, family offices? Is that a group that, are these groups that already play a significant role?
Sometimes, but we are, I would say we are a GP platform, and not an LP platform in that sense. But I've had many meetings with family offices who do direct investments themselves, and then definitely they are clients, and they are potential clients. But many times it's one step below the family offices.
Good. Coming to the sort of, the raw material, the data. So how do you gather, to start with, right? How do you gather the data? How do you collect that? I mean, from what sources? Is it the public information? Is it digging in deeper?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the hottest topic every time in a sales meeting also.
Right.
And I would say there's two different ways of doing it. One way is to crawl, because a lot of data is available online. So one way is to crawl all the open sources that exist on the internet, extracting that data and removing what's not relevant and creating company profiles. But you can't do that you will never come to a full coverage solution that way, because it takes a lot of time. You can't either do that with all companies and then also have all the historical financials year on that company, because that information is not in an easy format for every country where you can just fetch it and harmonize it and so on. So that's one approach, and many players chooses that approach, because then you can do a selection of companies instead in the market, and you can do really premium data on that. So you do that, and then you do some manual labor on it, and you run some AI on it, and create these company profiles that are very good. But then as a client, you would have a need to look into that specific part of the market which these database captures. And then there's the other approach which we have taken, where we go as closely to the source as possible in all countries, and that takes time, and that's also why we've been around for a decade, and we only have 16 countries in our database, because when we add a country, it takes a year. It can take sometimes longer than that from the initial start of the process and until it's actually available in the platform. But what we do is that if we can work directly with the governmental sources, the Bundesanzeiger of each country, we do that. It depends how digitalized that country is in the way that data is stored and can be redistributed. So we do that in UK, we do that in Norway, we do that in some parts for Germany also with Bundesanzeiger when it comes to annual reports. And that's a process of setting that up, and then we pair that up together with just constantly evaluating who are the best suppliers for private company data in Europe. So as a client, as a PE firm or as an M&A advisor, you would never go to these suppliers, because you would pay way too much money for just one country to get that whole data set. But as we have a large client base, we can do it and then push down the prices for our clients, so it can be, so they can get that level of details, but for a much cheaper price. So we do that, and that's a process of just working together with suppliers. If we get feedback from our clients that we need to have more details in the balance sheet, or we need to have more details regarding this, then we work together with the supplier to see how can we do it, because they extract the data from the annual report. And how detailed they will be is how much we push and how much our clients push in that. But we are picky, and our clients are even more pickier. So that's one. The other part, the other source of the data, and the third source of the data is doing what the other players are doing. So also crawling the entire internet, extracting all relevant data from the company websites, running that through different language processing models, and just extracting what's relevant, and then include that data on top of that also. And that can be just some simple features. It can be keywords, so you can search on keywords on company very, very, very easy. So I want to find medtech. Medtech isn't the industry code, but I want to find medtech companies. Then you can search for medtech, or it can be ownership information that's only available in a general meeting protocol that we extract from the general meeting protocol and look at the shares and so on, and then tag that to the company and the right person also. So I think we have over 50 different sources in Europe, and it's today it's 60 million companies in the database, and maybe 33 of them are active organizations right now. Which are all of them are updated on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or at least on a monthly basis in some countries. So, I mean, it's it's an obvious question. How many full-time employees do you have? I actually read the latest annual report yesterday or the day before that. So we are 35 now, full-time employees, and I think we were 15 when I started, and then we work with different consultancy firms also who work with us full-time, mainly with regards to transaction data, but we have maybe 10 or 15 people in total in Hungary also who's working, who came from another transaction supplier before, but who are working on a transaction side, because we really want to cover Europe when it comes to M&A transactions also and get the best data there. But
because my question is, with that say sort of handful of people, right? I mean, it's a big handful, that's fine, but covering 60 million companies, that gives a good sense of what tech power is working there in the background, and
definitely
that's what I would. So how do you sort of get hold of, well, put it differently. I mean, it seems that simply there's plenty of AI and data processing going on, to collect the data, right? And one thing is really, getting hold of the data and pulling that together. But the other obviously is then processing that into the right format, into the right slices of information. So was that a big shift? Was that basically, the application at the right maturity, developed in Sweden, and you said, well, now it's good to roll it out, sort of. And of course, each country has its specificities. Yeah. But other than that, it's more of an easy task. I mean, so describe maybe a bit this machine which is working in the background.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the machine is our CTO, definitely, Jens Kovaland, Fredrik Wijk, who is our CPO, and then Kajsa Norin, is our lead data scientist, and they put together everything that makes us be as cost effective with the least amount of human resources when it comes to quality assuring everything in terms of data. Kajsa, who has been leading really pretty much the AI scene in the Nordics, she founded Stockholm AI, and she joined the company, works with us, who has been, since she came in, the AI focus really grew on our side. So I mean, one thing is harmonizing everything and iterating, and that's a process that's pretty much done for the countries that our clients look into. But then when our clients shift focus, or when we shift focus to another country, which hasn't been, when you haven't turned every company and so on, then the resources going towards that country needs to be allocated there, and then it takes time. But with the rise of AI and how the machine is working, to answer that question. I think other might be even better to answer this one, as I said, with Kajsa and Fredrik. But what they are doing and what they are working really heavily on is supervised learning. So supervised learning in our platform is we have people that put together a list of quality assured, like I mentioned, medtech companies. And then we train our own developed. So this is not ChatGPT or this is not any other, but this is our own algorithm or module that we train with this list of medtech companies. And then this module understands, okay, so this is what the medtech company looked like when you analyze all the text data that exists on this. And then once it's trained and we have done the testing and everything on it, then we let it out on the database so it can go and look for companies that matches what it knows to be a medtech companies, and then it starts tagging those company up with it and adding that data to the companies. So that's one thing that we're working very extensively on right now. We're adding LinkedIn data, which is a huge topic. So what we have done is also partnered up with a supplier so we can offer full coverage when it comes to all the LinkedIn profiles in Europe and tying those together with the right legal entities. And then you get a much more up-to-date headcount. You get the LinkedIn business description, which is a little bit more market-tailored than the business description in Bundesanzeiger, which is good because then it's much more easy to digest and you get a quick understanding what the company is doing. And then a lot of other different data points also that also feeds into our module so we can understand what is this type of company doing, and then sorting it out and categorize it in the right way.
So it seems to be fair that, to describe Valu8 as a tech AI driven service provider. Is that correct? It's always risky to do that because for many of our clients we are just a data provider because of the quality in the data, and that is not so much the AI driven data or the AI enhanced data. That's more the structured basic data. So financials, board membership, ownership information, those kind of data points. So we try to see ourselves as a traditional company database that has all the details that you need, that you won't find if you go into a database for which only uses open sources. But then also having the AI element of the whole Nordic heritage on top of that. So we never lose track of what's newest on the market and what we can use to become we can become more efficient, but most important is our client can become most efficient. Because what we see is if we don't do it, then our clients go and try to get the LinkedIn data themselves. And we know if we can feed that into this infrastructure that we already have built up, then the results are pretty good. Yeah, or maybe putting the question a bit differently, maybe. So you have the data, which is collected, processed, linked together, and so on and so forth. And that's what you provide. That's what people ask for, obviously, and then dig in. On top of that layer, as a separate layer on the basis of that, do you also develop a lot of, applications, features, which make use of that data and sort of provide a predefined product, if you like, which you offer to clients in accordance with their needs?
Yeah. So everything that we have basically discussed regarding what we do, the result of that or the end product of that is a cloud-based platform that our clients log into, where they have all the functionalities that they need. If they lack some functionalities, we add it for them. And when I speak of functionalities, I mean like columns to filter on, different ways of doing similarity scoring, which we are working heavily on, which is you take one company or you take 5 companies or 6 companies, and then you want to find all the closest peers in the market. that are in the same size, or in other markets that are in the same size, just finding competitors in that way. And having just, it's a platform that you can imagine it being, you can imagine it like a big Excel spreadsheet that already contains all the companies in Europe, but then you also have these fast buttons that you can click on that does some analysis for you when you want to save time. And when you want to really dig into the platform and start putting in different search criteria, what you will get back is always a list, an updated list with companies that meets your specific criteria that you have for a screening that you're doing. But it's definitely a platform for that.
Right. So, I mean, obviously by means of your service, you're in the midst of the market, right? So, I mean, it's the data is a decisive basis, for doing transactions, obviously, and you provide that a tool to, get access and make that data usable, basically. Do you see, as a consequence of that, do you also see how a market is developing? So, do you, I don't know, when the market goes up, do you see more activity, more demand for your product, for instance, or is it the other way around because people are super busy and they're being swamped with opportunities anyhow, they don't have to dig in too deep? Is it rather the low market where they say, oh, I want to look for opportunities, make more use of the service? So how does it colorate, if you like, with the development of the market, the way clients use your service?
Yeah. So we definitely follow the market in terms of we constantly are evaluating the transaction database of Valu8, like what industries are moving and how many transactions are happening and who are the players who has done the most and so on. And we keep score on that. And we also release that in different newsletters and reports and that we send out to our users. So we try to keep an eye on that. When it comes to usage of the platform, we basically just see how many people are actively inside the platform. Since it's very, very risky to store more data around different searches, we don't do that. So it's more of the transaction side. But however, in terms of your question there, when are the usage of Valu8's going up and down, and if there are any trends we can see in that, the trend has actually been since we went into this more unstable economical environment where transaction has taken longer time and fewer transactions have happened on the market, and so the usage of Valu8 has gone up. So this is maybe not something that's positive to like mention on the podcast, but I will do it anyway because I think it's interesting. The usage has gone up so much right now, the past month or two, that we have for the first time in Valu8's history experienced latency problems with the platform, and that's being fixed. We need to allocate new servers and just expand that physical infrastructure, and then that will not be a problem no more. But also last year we also experienced and where we saw lower transactions but more clients coming in and more users in the platform, more spent time in the platform, just went up. And I think it's exactly what you say, Nick. I think it's when fewer transactions are happening and they take a long time, more time has been created to allocate to build pipelines, look into the market. What are the potential investment opportunities that might be interesting now, or build on laying new strategies, so on. So it's but it's interesting. So it's quite. I'm happy it's quite steadily in that sense. So it's good.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me, Kristoffer, what do other database providers believe in what you don't think is valid?
I think a lot of players they underestimate how important data quality actually is, as down to the nitty-gritty details. Because if you put AI on top of a database that doesn't have good amount of data and good quality data, the conclusion that will draw from looking into that data set will have a direct effect on it. And you can package it in a nice way. It can be easy to digest. It can be, in many cases, good enough. But when we're working with the companies and our clients who really dig into the actual data and then draw conclusions on which companies to go further within the processes that they might have and how they look, it's different, but many times you see some similarities. And then they also want to utilize AI on that. It's so important that the underlying data is updated and that it's correct and that it's quality and it's detailed. But it takes so much time. It took us a decade to get to this place, and like I said, we only have 16 countries. So I think that's the short answer. Why not more do it? But I think the real winning strategy in the end will always be data. I mean, having the best data, and so focusing on that as a start, and then adding stuff upon that is a strategy that we believe in.
Oh, great, that's a basis. Kristoffer, tell me, if you had the opportunity to ask, say, 20 of your peers, I don't know if even so many are out there, right? But if you were able to ask your peers one question, what would that be?
What do you see is the biggest risk of data and information becoming more accessible for free when it comes to in relation to these types of services that we offer? And what is our value add in a situation where information is free? And I would discuss that together with them.
Yeah, and that's a great question, actually. I mean, because it's a similar question we ask ourselves, when we come to this, artificial intelligence, also, for use cases for lawyers, and what clients will be prepared to pay for, for services based on AI, which are sort of effectively automatically developed on the basis, in our case, then on a license, obviously, which has been paid for, but the additional costs, of course, of every service rendered, of every data or answer created, advice created, effectively is close to zero, right? So it's an interesting question, and something one, generally for all our services want to be answered for the future. Yeah, great question.
We should get together and discuss it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great question. So what, if you look back, I mean, you've been in Germany for some time now. I mean, you're even, so to say, relocated to Germany to some extent, right? Yeah. So very close. And if you look back, what was your greatest success together with the team, obviously in Sweden and so on and so forth? What was your greatest success you have experienced over the last months or the few years you've been here now?
The greatest success, it's the greatest success, I would say, happened last week. actually, where we closed the biggest ticket that we have closed, and it was done by and it was together with global one of the 4 like auditing firms, and it was such a quality stamp on both the data and also the platform, because it was a thorough evaluation process. And I had been working on that transaction, or that deal, I should say, for 2.5 years. But sadly, it was not a DACH. It was a Nordic UK deal. So it was my one half of my foot or my toe was still left in the Nordic market because of that one. Right. But now that's signed off and everything, so I can actually close the chapter on the Nordics. But Nordics was very fun. When I joined Nordics, I was alone, so I was selling alone in the market. And then when I left, I had the opportunity to build up a team there, and I think we're 5 in total in the Nordics that's selling there, and both new sales and account managers, and that team is performing. It's the engine with the most horsepower, so to say, in our ARR growth. It's financing all the other expansions. But now UK has taken off, so we finally, after many years of struggling, just having an inflow of clients and top tier names, and that team with there are 4 there in the London office who is performing super well. And then it's me now alone in Munich, and I try to be in Munich every other week. I love Munich. It's a fantastic city. And the biggest success there, I would say, is just that there was no starting time. I mean, just coming as a salesperson, coming to a new market, and then just having to wait on new transactions are happening or clients coming in. You always, it doesn't feel good. Fortunately enough, that didn't happen. So it was a shift from working in the Nordics to working in DACH, but still the same sales. So in that sense, just having that, signing clients from the beginning, onboarding them, that has been the most successful thing, and the most fun thing has been, even though we speak English today, the most fun thing has been to pick up my German again, and having lunches with clients, and having that in German, and try to speak German as much as possible. That has been fun.
That's great. And we're going to do the next podcast in German for sure.
Yes, we should. We should.
Yeah, we should. And tell me, coming to Germany, what was your biggest surprise you experienced over here, right?
I think the biggest surprise that was very much just like an assumption that I did. I had an assumption of Germany being so much more hierarchical than in the Nordics. That decision making was way more, because in the Nordics I'm accustomed to, like, if I'm working with a group of 5 associates and they say we want this system, then their boss they signs off on it. I mean, because and that's quite easy, because sometimes it's you won't go get the decision maker directly, so you can build something together with the team, and I thought that would be way more harder in German, but it's actually very much the same. So that did. I thought that was going to be. I was a little bit surprised, but other than that, the most surprising thing, just now when I reflect a little bit more on it, is just the willingness of just taking time to actually like grabbing lunches and the warmth. I mean, it sounds super cheesy, but the warmth that I've experienced when coming to Germany has been I mean, it exists in Stockholm also, but in Munich, how taking time to go out and eat lunches and taking time in meetings and really getting that personal touch on everything also is valued and much more easier when it's not over Teams or Zoom or something like that. That I think was the biggest surprise, to be honest, which on a personal level feels great.
No, thanks a lot. And I think we have the right infrastructure with all the beer gardens and the BFS to do that as well, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we could go on for a long time, Kristoffer, but maybe going towards the end, maybe 5 more personal questions, if you like. What do you do to keep, soul and body healthy and fit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually quite. My friends think I'm funny in that way because I do a lot of like meditations. I meditate. I do a lot of running. I picked my running up again now 1.5 months ago, and I've really come up to like some pace per kilometer that I'm happy with now. I have promised my Sebastian, who is leading our support team, that we will run the Munich Marathon in October. So I'm a little bit stressed about that because I'm not really there yet, but I'm working my way up so that my body won't or I won't die at least. But no. So I'm trying to run, trying to spend time with my kids and just eat good food, basically. Try to sleep well. That's I think the most important thing is actually to if I get my 8 hours, I can be productive. If I get less than that, then I won't be productive for a day.
Is there a business book you like in particular which you could recommend?
Yeah. Okay, so I will actually recommend another book which has helped me out a lot in business. So there are the standard sales business books that everyone who works within sales is told to read, but the book that has helped me out the most, both in sales but also generally in life and in this journey with Valu8's, is a book called The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck, and it's a book about facing and overcoming the different challenges that can present itself in life in a good and healthy way, which is applicable in everything from child raising to selling to a PE firm or negotiating a contract or just being in a conflict with your spouse or anything like that. So it's a great book. Yeah.
That sounds like something I should buy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can lend it out. I can send it to you.
That's great. Is there a business leader you are particularly fond of?
Yes, and it's a person who is a little bit of he's very much liked by some, he's very much not liked by some. He makes some bold statements sometimes, but I really admire Elon Musk. I think what he's doing in terms of shifting the car industry and what he did there and how many times he almost went bankrupt, and just like on an overall perspective, moving the human species out to be multi-planetary species. I mean, I went and saw Dune 2 with a friend 2 days ago, like the sci-fi movie with the Timothy and just like having that in real life, someone working on a plan that actually is gonna create a scenario, hopefully where we are doing that. That I feel is amazing. And then he's just he has a brilliant mind. So it's an interesting journey following him and what he says.
Yeah, fascinating. Kristoffer, if you had a wish to all our listeners, what would that be?
I wish that we all have one thing, a successful ending of age 1, with just getting everything over the line before we take semester and holidays. That would be good, so we can relax with good conscience and good health.
That's great. Important. And finally, how can people get in touch with you most easily?
Most easily, LinkedIn, email. I'm always up to date when it comes to not my private email. That one is not that often checked, but my Valu8's email address. And yeah,
that's great.
LinkedIn and email, I would say. Yeah.
That's great. And hopefully PIMACOM in September in Munich, right?
100%.
Fantastic. So thanks so much for your time. It was great talking to you. Thank you so much for the insights. Fascinating.
Thank you, Nick. It's been a pleasure. It's a pleasure as always speaking with you. And thanks again for inviting me to this podcast.
Thanks so much.